Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing fine as usual. And today's episode, we're going to talk more about gears for weddings, especially wedding photography. So I'm gonna share with y'all what are my gears, my camera body, lenses, and lightings. So let's get to it.
Razorblaze production.
Okay, so for some of y'all that actually shot with me before or know me, I'm actually using a A7 Mark III. Sony camera body, it actually have good autofocus, especially for video, the tracking, like eye autofocus and all those kind of stuff. Yeah, the features are just good for my use. So not saying that Canon or Nikon or Fuji is not as good, but this is just personally my choice. So attached here is my Tamron 28-75, which I mostly use for all kinds of events, especially events because it has a wider range of 28mm, and if you want that extra reach, you can go for the 75, which is to me it's versatile. It works for photo and video too. So another reason is this lens is compact. You can check out my previous video why I choose this lens instead of like other like Sony or G Master or Sigma. So this lens is actually light, compact, and f2.8 for its price is actually cheaper than the native Sony one. So Tamron has been producing a lot of great lens recently, so you all should check them out and maybe purchase it. I've actually owned two of them, the 28-75 and 17-28, but I rarely use the 17-28 for wedding photography. I mean, depends, like certain cases if you want to take like the whole view kind of thing top down or those kind of situation, I'm using that 17-28, but I rarely use it nowadays. So this 28-75 is like cover the whole event. I can use this one lens just to shoot weddings, but also recently I feel like using prime lenses is more punchy, so I've actually used this 28mm f2 over here. This lens is more for the family photo kind of thing, like at the dice where you need a wider view, and sometimes also like maybe in a smaller constrained room where they are doing their dressing up and stuff. Like certain locations they only have like a small dressing room, so this 28 f2 is really good, even though I don't use it much because it's too wide for me sometimes. So yeah, this is mostly used for the family photo. Next, what I usually use for the dressing up photos and maybe like details and stuff is the ZEISS 55mm f1.8. I really love this lens. It's very sharp in capturing details. Previously I was using the 50mm f1.8 from Sony, but sometimes I feel like the autofocus is not that good. It's like hunting, even though it's in a good lighting condition, good contrast, but this ZEISS 55 really does its job. It's way better, but of course it costs more. I'm not sure about the Sony 1.8, I forget what's the price, but this thing costs like over $1,000 Singapore dollars, but for a second hand you can probably get around 800. So this is one of the lens that you probably want to get. Like what people have been saying, 50mm is like one of the first few lenses you should get. It's like the nifty 50 kind of thing, but yeah, this is like, I would say, a step up from the normal 50mm, even though it's still a f1.8, but this extra sharpness and quality is really worth it. It's worth the price. So most of the time I'm using this for the event, like capturing not really a tight face shot, I mean like a mid shot, like doing the solemnization, those kind of things. 50mm is really good, but if you don't even have like those 50mm range, I think 35 is still the best. 35 is not as wide as like the 28, so 28 is too wide for me, but 35 works well. But if you wanna really have a more tighter shot and maybe to separate your subject and the background, 50mm is the one that you should go for. Next lens that I actually use not much during the event is 85. 85 is usually when during the reception itself, where you want to capture the moments, the emotions of the guests, those kind of sniping shot where you take from far without actually going close to the gas. So 85mm is like the minimum, I believe. If you have a 70-200, it will be better, or maybe a like 24-105 f4, it will be good, because you don't want to get too close to the gas. It's like you want to capture the moments, you want to get that candid shot. You don't want to be there and they realizing, oh, someone is taking a photo of you, so they have to be proper. But yeah, sometimes capturing those kind of candid emotions is really good. So having this lens for those moment shot is really nice. This is a 85mm f1.8 from Sony. You can even get like third party Sigma, Tamron, or any other brands, but having an 85 is actually awesome. So this 85mm I usually use for outdoors, where you want to separate the couple from the background, or you want a narrower field of view, because sometimes 35 or 50 might be still too wide. You might not want to see certain things in the background or those kind of things. Having this 85 actually helps, but also depends. Sometimes I still use the 55. It depends on the situation and also the kind of shot that you are aiming for. So having this 85 is not only if you want to separate the background and the subject, but sometimes even I use this at f4 to not really separate that much, but at the same time, because I just want the field of view to be more narrower, because it's gonna cut off those distracting things, like maybe there's a rubbish bin behind there that you don't want to do. So this 85 f1.8 actually does its job. You might want to get an f1.4 or f1.2 to give that further separation between the background and the subject, and also it's faster in focusing, especially in low light. If you were to shoot an event like indoors, or maybe the lighting is kind of dark, those kind of aperture actually helps you with the photos. So yeah, I've actually used like 5 different lenses for weddings, 2 zooms and 3 primes. I prefer primes actually, but zoom wise it depends on situation where you think that the space is kind of crowded, or you don't have much room to move. Having that zoom range where you can actually shoot something near and further without you moving that much actually helps. Like sometimes I have done a shoot like a solemnization where it's held inside the house, where there's a lot of guests like here there, so you're like stuck in one spot and you want to capture that expression. So you probably want to get a zoom lens, which is gonna help you, unless you have like 2 camera bodies. One is like 35mm, another is like 85. Yep, that works too. Sometimes I also use the A6400. It's a crop frame body, but 24 megapixels too. It helps like for just capturing emotions and stuff. Most of the time I just use one camera. It is easy, because sometimes having 2 cameras is like you want to sync the photos. You must make sure that the timing of these 2 cameras is the same. If not, it's gonna mess up the order. So yeah, take note of that. Okay, so what other things I actually use for weddings other than just camera gears, which is lightings. Lightings are important. What I'm using now is actually one of the LED, the small pocket LED, which I'm using now with the softbox. So it's actually a mini pocket LED. What I use it for is usually for videos, but sometimes for photos you want to do like a ring shot. You just want to have the LED pointing towards the ring, so you can play around. And if this is RGB, so you can change colors. So if you think you want to have a different kind of mood or tone, it really helps. Next, if you notice, I have this transmitter on top. This is the Godox X2T. Is I think the latest version. They have the X1T, then they release the X Pro, then the X2T. Okay, so basically this transmitter actually have controls behind, where you can wirelessly control the power of the flash, the settings of an offshoot flash. Why I choose the X2T over the X Pro? Because firstly, the X Pro is just one big LCD screen slanted over here, and you can see like 5 settings. But for this X2T, you can I don't think you can see this, but you can see only 3 different groups A, B, C. If you wanna go to C to the D and E, you have to press the button and it will scroll, which is not an issue for me because I don't use like 5 flash at once. So having this hot shoe, the X Pro doesn't have, but the X2T has it. So there's a hot shoe mount on top of here, which you can actually mount your flash on top of it. So this is the Godox V1. Let me talk about the flash first. So I used to have a Godox TT685, but the reason why I changed to the V1 is, firstly, it has a not a built-in but its own kind of battery. It comes with a charger, so this thing, I would say, it lasts forever. Like even you shoot a whole more than 10 hours, it's still gonna have battery after the event. So having this flash actually helps because, firstly, okay, this diffuser is additional accessory which doesn't come with it. So this is how it looks like. There's no white card, there's no what do you call that glass thing, I forget what is it called, to reach out further for the flash. So it doesn't come with it. If you want like those white card, this some people call it the lemon sea. So, and also there's a like honeycomb grid and also like bandor that's included in the additional accessories. So one thing I like about this flash is there's a modeling lamp where you can press here, press the center button, and you can use it as a it's like a guide light kind of thing to show like to even light up your subject before you actually shoot, before the flash fires. But the thing is, you can't change the temperature of the flash. It's kind of warm, and you can change the power. This is the minimum. You can get brighter. Of course, this is multi-purpose. Sometimes I even use it if the place is dark. I can use it like a flashlight kind of thing, which is cool. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I like about this flash. Also, the new thing is, wait, let me off the modeling lamp first. Okay. So another new thing is, sometimes when you use a flash, when you wanna tilt back, you can't do it because the maximum is like this, and you have to do a 1 round turn, then you can do it like that. But for this flash, if you wanna bounce it slightly behind, you can just flip it. This is the max, but you can flip it like that. So you don't really need to like fully 180 turn the flash, and then you can face it back. So yeah, one thing that I like about this. Also, they have quick release hot shoe where you can press, you turn it, then take it off, put it on your camera, then lock it just like until you hear the click. So it's really quick. If you wanna release it, just press this button, turn it, then pull it out. Sorry, I can't pull it out with one hand, but yeah, it's kind of tight here. So yeah, this is quick release is awesome because sometimes when you were to put a camera, then you have to like turn it manually until it's tight. Sometimes you won't feel secure. Is it really has it been tightened or not? So yep, having this quick release is really nice. So it's like that, turn, yep, yeah, it won't drop. Yep. So that flash is usually where I bring it to the house or the room where the bride or the groom is like getting ready, so I can like put it, because it came with a hot shoe stand, the flash stand, so I can like put it on top of the cupboard or the table, so it can stand and it will light up the whole room. Depends on the power of your setting and stuff. It's really powerful that you can light up the whole room, and it's really nice to have a flash instead of using LED. Sometimes LED might just give you a harsh light, and you might need like a diffuser, which is going to be non-portable, I would say. So having this flash and then attach it like that is gonna give you a softer lighting all around the whole room. So like I mentioned just now, sometimes I attach this flash on top of the transmitter, because sometimes when the couple is like walking in the aisle, the lightings might not be consistent because the dice is like fully bright. Then after that, the back end is like slightly dark. Maybe the entrance towards the dice, there's a different lighting exposure. So having a flash while walking in helps you brighten up the photo, I would say, and also reduce your ISO, so you don't need to like crank up your ISO till then you look at your computer, oh damn, there's noise, like grainy. Nope. So having flash is actually one of the most important thing in events photography. Not only events, sometimes I use flash for portraits as well. So yep, lighting matters, guys. Lighting is one of the things that you should invest on. Not only lightings, but if you're a filmmaker, audio is important. There's a lot of different things that you should get, like additional accessories other than just the camera body and the lenses. Okay, so what are the things that I actually use is this thing. This is the Godox AD200Pro. This is the latest version. The previous was the AD200, but recently also they just announced the AD300. This one, it has a built-in battery too, which is this. Yep, built-in battery with its own charger. This flash has a 200 watt power, which is of course more powerful than the typical those kind of speed light at minimum power. So the difference between this AD200 Pro and the AD200 is, firstly, it has a minimum power of 1/256 instead of the older one, which is 1/128. Yep. So having the 256 second is actually kind of helpful, because sometimes you just want that small little tiny spill of light where it's gonna help you out, maybe like the rain shot or those kind of mini things which you don't wanna brighten up the whole environment kind of thing. So yeah, this is nice. So this has a tripod screw mounting at the bottom and at the side, which is nice. The whole box actually came with something like this. This is what it came with, the mounting for the flash, so you can actually tilt up or down. Usually this is what I do. So you have at this angle and then you attach the flash here and it will bounce off the ceiling. So yeah, anyway, this is a cheap flash stand which cost me, like, the cheapest I get is like $15. Maybe the most expensive is gonna cost you like 25. So invest in a stand, which is cool. It's gonna be helpful. Yep. So this flash I actually mount it on the stand and it's gonna be facing the ceiling, and the direction is gonna be at is like towards the dice, towards the where the couple and the family photo is gonna be at. The reason is you want to have that consistent lighting where you actually don't want to, you know, it kind of helps you in post-production after that, because sometimes when you use a flash like this, right, then maybe the family group is like bigger, that you have to step back sometimes, especially when you are using a prime lens, you have to step back. So sometimes you have to adjust the power manually, but that might cause the difference in exposure. Like this photo with bigger family, oh my god, why the settings of the flash is kind of dimmer, and you have to do a little bit of additional work in the post process, which might not be efficient, but it doesn't matter to me anyway. It's just a small work. But having this flash at the specific point is, no matter how far or how near you stand with the lens, with the camera, it's gonna fire, because the light stand is just there. So the amount of power you don't need to keep changing, because yeah, it's gonna be there all the way. So one thing that I like about this is that it comes with a bulb head, which gonna I believe it's gonna give you more power. But the reason why I choose this flash head like a typical flash is because, firstly, you can activate a modeling lamp, which is this, but this one looks cooler. This is like cool white. The V1 was like warm. So but I don't think you can change the power of this. Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, having this flash head instead of the bulb actually helps me in multiple kind of photo, Like sometimes I use a flash gel. To use a flash gel, you can actually get a cheap one, like just a cellophane colored paper, and just put it in front. It will fire off. Like if you put a red, of course it will fire off red color. So yeah, I usually use this for like artistic, creative kind of shot. Like maybe you wanna do a studio shoot where you wanna have a red, blue over here, or maybe like those cosplay shoots that you see everywhere. Like wow, a lot of colors. That's how they do it actually. Sometimes they use LED, but yeah, you can use a flash to control how much power and the angles and stuff. So yeah, we are off topic. We are supposed to talk about wedding though. Anyway, so these are the equipment that I use for wedding photography. I have other equipment for video, which is gonna be a little bit more intense because I have a stabilizer. I'm gonna talk about the mic, the audio options. There's a lot of different audio options. There's also sometimes I use tripod, sometimes I use a gimbal with an extended rod. So it's gonna be messy. So for today's episode, I'm just gonna focus on wedding photography setup. This is what I actually use most of the time for my wedding shoot, and yeah, most of the time it works really. So any of these, be it zoom lens or prime lens, is actually helpful. Not saying that you need to get a full frame. Some people still use a quad frame. I've seen professionals actually use like a quad frame for video making, and it actually doesn't matter, because the first thing you have to know is you have to know your gear, what that camera can do, what is limitations. Like example, a 24 to 105mm f4. Of course, the maximum you can go is f4. You cannot go any further like 1.8 or anything. But the thing is, it has more range. So do you need the range or do you need the extra stop? So this kind of things that you should take into consideration before purchasing your gear and use it for different kinds of shoots. I forgot to mention that how the transmitter actually works is that basically inside this flash there's a built-in receiver. Most Godox nowadays has a built-in receiver, like even the studio lighting and stuff. So for example, I've on this flash, it's in the channel 25 group C, and also I switch on this transmitter. Then since it's in group C, you can set up the settings in group C over here. You can adjust the power, the flash power. So for example, let me just shoot this thing. I forget to change the setting. It's long exposure. Okay, talking about settings, most of the time I actually shot on around 250th shutter speed, because I feel that that's enough to freeze the motion, not to have motion blur, unless you wanna aim to get that kind of different vibe, where nowadays some people like to do the long shutter, like walking, ghosting kind of thing. So it depends on your creativity, but you wanna have a solid, sharp and freeze the motion kind of shot, use at least a 250. You can go faster, but to me 250th is like the max. I probably wouldn't go lower unless you have a steadier hands. Even though there's IBs in the camera body or lenses, you might need to be aware. Sometimes when you look inside the LCD, it looks fine, but transferred to your computer, you'll be like, damn, slightly blurred. Then you'll be like, I don't have any other shot, that's like the best. So it's kind of wasted. So yep, settings important. Okay, so I set up the flash and the transmitter. So there's a built-in connection. I don't think it's like Wi-Fi. Is it even Wi-Fi? I don't know. Built-in connection. So this is how it works. I'm not sure if you can even see the flash firing, but yep. I'm gonna post this photo and I'm gonna show you how it actually looks. Oh shit, it was overexposed. Let me change the settings and do a proper one for you. Kind of decent, but yeah, you get the basics of it, like what the flash actually does. So this is direct lighting, and usually what I mentioned just now is I bounce the flash up so you can get like a so-called diffuse light, but hopefully the ceiling is white. I've been to events that someone's house, the ceiling is like colorful, and when I use a flash, it's like, not say it will bounce off colorful light, but it's not as nice as having like a soft diffuse white that bounce back. It's gonna it's gonna mess up sometimes. Yep. Let me take a proper shot. Let me explain the difference between using a direct flash, like what I did just now is like a so-called pop-up where the flash is actually facing the front, but this is what happens if you bounce the flash up. So of course the difference is that having a direct flash is gonna of course blow up the subject, like fully blown. You probably look like a Casper. So if you were to bounce the light up to the ceiling or to anywhere, to any surfaces, it's gonna give you a more softer diffuse light, because sometimes just in case you don't have this kind of diffuser, you might just want to bounce to any surface that you think is gonna look good. Of course you don't want to bounce like on a mirror, because if you bounce on a mirror it's gonna be harsh, the light is gonna be harsh, and bounce on the white color is better, because if you bounce it on a black wall, of course black absorbs light and heat, so it's not gonna bounce back the same amount of light. I don't know, it's too technical, but you get it. Okay guys, so the purpose of me sharing my gears is that hopefully it helps anyone that actually want to get into event photography. I'm not a perfect photographer myself, I'm still learning, and having this kind of gear actually helps you out in photography. Not saying that the gear make the best photo, of course you need your skills and creativity to stand out from other people, but having these gears actually helps you out in creating better photos than just having, like, you know, kit lens. Like, not saying kit lens are bad, but it's like a next level, it's a step up to get better photos. You will see the difference, guys. Okay, so to summarize this whole video, I actually using an A7iii for my photo and video work, especially weddings. I am currently doing a lot of portraits outdoors and even weddings. Sometimes I do studio, but this is my camera body to go for. And behind the scenes, or maybe second camera, I'm using the A6400. So the lens wise, I'm using 28 to 75 for most events, be it weddings, commercial, corporate. For videography, most of the time I use a 17 to 28, which is also from Tamron, which I'm gonna be doing a video about maybe in the next video or next few videos. And the lens that I'm using for most family shot, or maybe for a tighter space, is a 28mm f2 from Sony. This is one awesome and cheap lens. It's compact, lightweight, and for dressing up, getting ready, or those details kind of shot, 50mm actually helps. It gives you a nice a narrower view instead of like 28 or 24 or 35. This actually helps you out with the taking like mid shots, or maybe you want to take a detailed shots. It gives you a narrower view instead of a wider one. So 55mm f1.8 is awesome with I mean, it's awesome for outdoor photography, or maybe the place is really huge and you wanna separate the couples from the dice. So this is really an awesome lens. Also, you can use this for capturing moments like the guests, where you don't wanna get closer to the guests to avoid being seen that you are taking photo of them, because sometimes you just want that candid moments, the emotions. Lastly, you might wanna get this is purely an off-shoe flash. This is like a speed light where you can still mount it on your camera. So getting this is cheaper. This cost me like, actually it was on sale, it's like less than $200, but the original price is like 270. This is the V1, but you can get the TT685 or like previous version. But the previous version is that instead of rounded, is typical rectangle, something like this, is about the same size head. So having a flash actually helps you out in getting better pictures, especially if, like, you know, the place is dark, or maybe there's a strong sunlight. It's really a backlight, but sometimes having a strong sunlight, you can actually create a more creative shot, like a silhouette shot. But if you want to brighten up the subject, flash really helps, or maybe an LED if you don't own a flash. So yeah, these are all my gears that I actually own, and yeah, been saving up for like years until I've upgraded to this. So I hope this camera system can last me for like few more years. Like, actually this setup can last me like forever. It's really good. I don't think I'm gonna upgrade any zoom lenses, but primes, we'll see how it goes. So yeah, that's all for today guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and maybe I get to share some of my tips and knowledge about wedding photography gears. So if this video actually helps you out, please drop a like and comment. Maybe you can ask some questions in the comment where you want to know more about these certain gears. I will try my best to answer, and also share it with your friends, to those like who want to start in the event photography, or even want to know more about gears like third-party gears or native gear, which one is better. So yeah, I'll try my best to help you out in future videos. So guys, until the next time, peace out.